The last step in creating a dApp is to build a front end that users can interact with to call the functions on your smart contract. In this video, we'll create a simple front end that does exactly that. The purpose of this site is to log a secret message that sends a transaction containing that message to your local Ethereum blockchain. Here's a quick demonstration to show you how it works. Users will come to your site and type you a secret message. Let's say, I have a secret. This will log a transaction onto your blockchain that includes the message. That's it for now. It's a simple idea that shows you've got everything hooked up to begin building larger applications for yourself. So let's get started. In terms of the tools and setup we're using, here's what's going on. It's really similar to what we put together in the previous concept, but I'll run through it quick to make sure you're all set up. First, I set up a project with npm init and installed Web3 as a dependency. Then, I created an index.html and a main.css file. Heading to Remix, I created and deployed our message contract. Using this, I pasted the ABI and the contract address into the HTML file. I've got a Ganache local blockchain running and have set up my connections to this using Web3. I also have another tab open with the website I'm building. Okay, so now let's take a closer look at our HTML file. In the HTML file, it's almost all stuff you've seen before. I changed some of the body to give it a header and a title that matches what we're going for, an Ethereum secret messenger. One important element I added is the set message button, and an input for the users to submit their message to. Those were done using button and input tags. Here you'll see I set the button to an ID of set message button. That will be important for when we call it in the code below. Before getting into the JavaScript, I wanted to mention that I did add a script tag here to use jQuery. It's a bit old school, but it's more concise for now, and it made it a little easier for me to show you what's going on. You can feel free to update any of the jQuery to vanilla JavaScript using newer syntax like getById or query selectors if you want. And if you're not sure how to do that, then jQuery works fine too. Scrolling down a little further, you'll see the button I made. If you're not familiar with the syntax, here's what's going on. This first part is the jQuery that's looking for the button, setMessageButton, that I set the ID for in the HTML. If that button gets clicked, it will run a function. The function that runs is to set a message using myMessage. MyMessage is the Remix contract that we deployed that we set up here. So by having the contract address and the ABI, we can search inside the contract and call any of the methods that exist within that contract. In this case, we're calling setMessage from the contract we've been working with. When we call that function, we'll need to pass in a string as the message, and we're doing that right here. In this case, it's jQuery again. What this is doing is looking for the value that the user typed into the input with the ID of user input. This is what I specified up top. Finally, I logged the input into the console. This is so just in case we run into issues logging it to the blockchain, we can at least check to see if the input is being captured at all. Alright, so if you're familiar with writing this type of code already, then there's not too much going on that's new to you. The one thing that is unique here is that you're capturing user input and logging it to the blockchain when they hit a button. I tried to keep this site simple for the demonstration, but this same idea can be used to call any contract functions with user interfaces that you decide to create. In this case, it's the setMessage function from our contract, but it could also be the methods from any of the contracts that we've been working with on Etherscan. It's up to you. So feel free to take this and do what you want with it. You can now capture inputs from users that trigger events on the blockchain. From there, you can use any Web3 or front-end skills you have to make this as complex as you'd like. You can also deploy this to the test or main networks when you're ready, by going back and changing some of the connections you set up. As you can see, there's a lot going on here. Even though the website is simple for now, it's an accumulation of tons of new tools you learned that you'll be able to expand on quickly as you pick up more skills in Ethereum and Solidity.